But I was in the room with my grandmother. She was still conscious. We were talking, and we were even praying together. We were talking about her life. And this nurse came, gave my grandmother a medicine. And the other nurse, because they didn't talk about, came and gave the same. So my grandmother had a septic failure because of she got infection to the blood. And then plus, she was 75 years old. They gave her morphine twice and another medication to drop the blood pressure. It dropped so low that she passed away.
Oh,
And I know they try to cover up. I've been in healthcare for many years, so I know the hospital was trying to cover up. And I have a friend that he was a judge, and until today he told me I should sue, but it's the same thing. My parents say, what, we have heart problems. A lot of times we have to go there. If we sue them, we go to that same hospital. We don't want them to kill us on purpose. So I think a lot of times what holds my parents and other people is the fear. Well, okay, we are from here, we know the rules, and we're gonna come after you. So
that's an amazing story, and I'm so sad for your loss. To lose somebody in that manner is absolutely horrific, and
very.
then to not feel. I mean, I guess to me that is a significant difference that I'm still recognizing as a white American instead of a black American is, if that happened to my grandmother in the hospital, I wouldn't think twice about at least talking to lawyers and contemplating it and finding out what could be done. All of those things. It would never occur to me that I could actually experience that retaliation simply because of the color of my skin. And
Yeah.
so I'm one of the parts of this that has been eye-opening for me personally is to sort of wake up and realize how many of those areas exist where I have an unspoken advantage simply because I'm a white American male, as opposed to if I were black, would I enjoy the same degree of respect or courtesy at some of these in some of these situations? And I'm starting to realize more and more the answer is absolutely not.
No, that's one thing that for anyone that say, oh, there's no racism, there's not, people don't do this, the people don't do that, people need to start to wake up because it's happening, and it's unacceptable, and it hurts a lot of people. Like, I'll give you an example. I talk to you about my daughter all the time, and my daughter goes to a Cave Creek school, and my daughter and her and my nieces and nephew, they used to do so good in school. And because my job is so close to the school they go to, I didn't have a choice but to put them in those schools. Since they started those schools, to go to those two schools, their grades went down. And a lot of times I know that our kids, they did their schoolwork, and I would sit down with them and do the homework, but they always would say that they didn't do their work. And then I know of teachers that it would erase their work and say they never received it. Sometimes like people would talk to me like I was a kid, you know, because my daughter started experiencing a lot of anger, and I didn't understand why. That's why, issues with custody and things like that, because her behavior changed drastically. And only now, because of everything that is going on, our kids, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to be emotional. Our kids are starting to speak up. And I think so sad. I actually am thinking about do something. I want to do something against, because it breaks my heart that our kids were failing in school, and our kids were not feeling good at school because they look different. The teachers, they would allow some kids to do certain things, but not our kids. Things that some of the kids would say. And I remember again, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. I don't like politics, but I will speak on it. I come from a family with politicians and stuff. So I like to talk about certain things, but I'm like very careful with politics. But I think like when when Trump won, right? So the Cave Creek schools, they had all their kids dressed up in American flag, and it was so much pride. They would tell our kids, "So go back to Mexico." Go back to Mexico, or because they think we are Mexicans, I believe, because of the Portuguese, because of their names. Oh, you need to go back to your country. And some of the kids will come real sad, or yeah, are you guys gonna be sent back to your country? And some of the kids became really mean, even saying the N word. And some kids will come into school and say things that is not the kids that started those things, is the parents. So the
Right.
problem is not really the children, is the parents. And um, racism is really a mind block because it keeps us ignorant. And ignorant means that you don't know something about certain subject. And I think it would be so good if Americans and every person in this world would sit down and ask themselves, if if black people were this bad, how come they still marry other races, talk to other races? Like black people are not bad people, and we are not inferior. We are just like everyone else. I don't consider myself inferior. I don't care who the person might be, you know. And when people say, "Oh my God, black people are angry," I'll tell you a story. Like since 2006, something changed in me, and I couldn't understand what it was, you know. And I was in a religion that also tells you cannot speak for yourself. You cannot think for yourself. You have to agree with everything they say, or else you get shunned. So I grew up uh, in that religion. So I feel like I was being oppressed, not just by color, but religion, things like that. And those are things that we have to take in consideration. You know, when people say, "Oh, black people are criminals, they are angry people," we have the right to be angry because the world is not treating us fair. You know, I believe in righteous anger is the anger that you say I'm angry, but at the same time you don't want to cause any problems. If you see like a lot of people now are against the protesters, oh look at those protesters, they are looting, they are breaking things. We cannot just put everybody in one bucket and say, hey, this bucket is worthless because the people that are in that bucket are the problem. No, black people are not the problem. The problem is the system. I have been doing a lot of research, not just in America, United States, all over the world, and black people are set by the higher power they consider is their superior to fail. So what we do when we want someone to fail, I don't need to say you are a failure, but I will create situations around you to make you like you are a failure. One thing I never understood, I used to say, why Afro Americans, they only know how to go to jail? And I used to be so angry. I would not go to events when I knew it was mostly Afro Americans. I would not go to, I really never had Afro American friends, only a very limited time. And I used to be one of the people that say, oh, I'm just your friend because you're different. If you are different, I will not be your friend. So I was part of the problem. I was ignorant because I also say those things to people. And now I'm like, no, I am against those words because this is something people use to block people from developing. Like I come here and I want to go to school, right? And I'm a single parent. I work, I pay taxes. So it's hard for me to go to school because school is expensive. So when people say, oh my God, black people don't want to go to school, it's true. Some people don't want to go to school. And when you hear why they don't want to go to school, some things I agree, some things I don't agree. Because, a black doctor doesn't get paid as much as a white doctor in America. A black nurse does not get paid the same as a white doctor or nurse. And sadly, even in the law, some, I don't offend anyone, but some attorneys that are black, they don't get nothing to go compared to what a white attorney will get paid. So, and a lot of people say, why am I gonna go get a degree if the white man is not gonna give me, what I deserve? So that is like a mind block, but that's been holding black people back for so long, you know, and they put labels on those kids since they were kids. So when you grow up, you're gonna believe those things. So it's like you're in chains. You're gonna believe that you are a failure, so you're gonna act like a failure. One thing that I always tell my sister, I don't like to drive through South Phoenix because you can see how down the people there are. There's a lot of liquor stores in South Phoenix. There's a lot of things that you don't see in my neighborhood, that you don't see in a richer neighborhood. It's like, oh, we want to keep our neighborhood clean, and we're gonna put all the dirt in those neighborhoods, you know. And people wonder like, why are people angry? And then one thing too that people need to realize, yes, that's true. There's a lot of black men that don't have that structure, like family structure, because they didn't have dads that taught him how to be a family man. So they do have multiple children with multiple women. But at the same time, if you're a white guy, if you are driving, and if you have a marijuana in your car, you might go get, you get probation, and you get like a month, not even a month in jail, maybe a day, okay? But if you're a black person and you have the same amount or less, they give you 10 years. So you have three kids that their father's gonna be in jail for 10 years, and they only have their mom. So now they cannot be raised with their mom because mom have to work 3 jobs just to provide. Okay, so who is raising those kids? It's the people on the streets. The people that you don't want your kids to be around are the one that your kids are gonna be around. So, and remember, kids are kids, teenagers are teenagers. They want to look good. They want to have nice stuff. So some people believe, oh my God, I want to go into music industry. I'm gonna sell drugs because I want to have nice things. But we criticize it's wrong. The way to do is wrong. But really, who fault is that? They don't have their fathers there. There's a lot of great people in jail that they should not be in there. They are there because of their skin color. And this is one of the things that the government in the United States has to change. In Brazil, it's the same thing. You know, um, the Brazil cops, they kill a lot of black children. They go to favela and they kill those young kids, all the black kids in favela. In the Brazilian TV, you don't really see a lot of dark people unless you are different, so called. So it's not just in America, it's all over the world that people minds have to change. But it has to start from the top, you know.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. In terms of your children's school experience, did that shift at all when things moved to virtual? My daughters are also in the Cave Creek school district, and when they went from being in class to being online and having to submit things online, did that have any impact on your daughter or nieces and nephew grades when they shifted to not being visible to their teachers?
I don't know to their teachers, but I spoke to the principal, and I spoke to a counselor, and I'll tell you, it's hard for me to tell you about it, but I'll tell you, my daughter was suicidal. My daughter was really thinking about committing suicide. My daughter fell into a very deep depression, and my daughter got into ways that were not very safe for her. So it was a lot of fears, like, oh my God, if I wake up in the mornings, my daughter gonna be alive. So for a few years, I have been battling with a lot of negativity. And now, since the school has been shut down and they did everything online, my daughter is a different kid.
Wow.
It's like she's loving again, she's playful, she's doing things that kids her age, she's 14, are supposed to do. I'm like, I'm having my daughter back. The kids, are happier. And so I'm like, yep, I didn't really think the school was making that impact. But as a parent, I feel like I felt my daughter. I feel like I felt the children of my home because I forced them to be in a school that I'm like, well, they have a lot of good things, with the Spanish and stuff. But, what they don't have in that school, they don't treat people equally. What they don't have in the school is a welcoming attitude towards everyone. And some of the teachers, they really need to be reprehended. How do you say that word? Some of
Reprimanded.
the teachers, yes, for their actions against our children. That's why I wasn't gonna do anything about it, but I have some emails that the teacher would write me. It's like they were writing a kid. So it wasn't I wasn't getting the respect as a parent, you know, and the kids weren't getting respected, and they felt like, well, we don't count.